These two settings here are automatically turned off by default, and I do not understand why, because it is absolutely 100% essential to have these turned on in order to create your character and make it the strongest it can possibly be. Wanderers, we're about to tackle 5 settings that are either turned on or off by default, which doesn't make any sense as they completely transform the way you play and are essential in creating very strong characters. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today, we're going to go into settings and we're going to go into gameplay. These two settings here are automatically turned off by default, and I do not understand why, because it is absolutely 100% essential to have these turned on in order to create your character and make it the strongest it can possibly be. These two settings will determine all of the decisions that you're going to make when you're creating your character and you're building your gear. We're going to be talking about Advanced Tooltip Compare and Advanced Tooltip Information. The first one right here, when this is enabled, when comparing item tooltips, properties gained, lost, and changes to equip skills will be displayed. When it's disabled, when comparing an item's tooltip, only the primary stats will be displayed. So we're going to turn these off so you can see what it looks like looking at gear, and this is the default setting. So if you're just starting the game, this is all that you're going to see. You're going to see your basic stats, and then you're going to see your 2 tempers. If we look at a piece of gear without any tempers on, you're going to see this has 112 strength, 685 maximum life, and 48 vulnerable damage. Now, how do you know if this is great? If you've never seen these settings before, all you're going to see is this is the damage you get, this is the life you get, this is the strength you get. These are what the stats look like. Well, that is actually not true. Unless you have a greater affix, which is the star right here, all of your affixes can actually roll within a range. So if we go back into our settings, we go back to gameplay, and we're going to just turn on the advanced tooltip information. This is going to display advanced information on tooltips such as item property range, lucky hit chance on skills, and indicators as to whether a modification are additive or multiplicative. So we're going to put this on here, and we're going to go back and look at those exact same weapons. Now, when you look at this weapon here, you actually see that there is a range. Your strength isn't even close to the maximum that you can get. The vulnerable damage is actually very close. Now, let's go look at the tempers. We looked at this before. If you see here, my poison damage is actually very, very high. And then my bash cleave damage is the bare minimum roll. I can roll that much higher. So if I didn't have this turned on, then I would have no idea. Now, where the next tooltip comes into play, this actually will be more effective early on in the game. We're going to be talking about your advanced tooltip compare. This is going to give you gains and losses depending on what the stat is. When you're leveling up, you're going to be replacing your gear very, very often. How do you know what's the best way to go? Basically, all you're going to do is look for a positive on very specific stats. So we go and look at the item now. What you're going to see is that you're going to see 2 different items side by side. Now, you can toggle this on in whatever key bind that you're going to see. On the mouse and keyboard, it's going to be your shift key. That'll bring up the 2 different options. When you're using a controller, on this controller that I have on, it's going to be down here where you can see hide comparison. So you just hit that button and then it goes away. So look for this on whatever controller you're going to be running on. Now, when we look at the compare here, we see 2 different things. We see the stats side by side, but we have no idea what's better and what is going to be increasing and what's going to be decreasing. When we go and we put this back on and we put on advanced tooltip compare, we go back and look at the items now. Now there's going to be green if we're going to be gaining something, and there will also be red if we're going to be losing something. This is really, really beneficial when you're leveling up your character. When you're in the end game and you're looking for very specific stats, it's really not going to matter quite as much. But when you're leveling up, this is incredibly important because now you're going to know, okay, this right away has a green, I'm going to put that on. That's going to be the direction that I go for leveling. So the advanced tooltip and the advanced tooltip compare are incredibly important for gearing up your character. The next couple things we're going to talk about, you're going to go to options again, we're going to go to accessibility. We're going to scroll down, and the very first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be your auto pin new quest. Now, what this does is every single time that you gain a new quest, if we check this, it's going to automatically pin to your map. If you combine this with your HUD compass, this is going to put an arrow on screen for you to follow where you don't necessarily have to stare at your mini map. So we're going to put this on. You can choose whichever color you want. You can choose high contrast. Let's say that we wanted to run another green one. We're going to select green. We're going to hit save changes, and we're going to go back into our game here. So now when we teleport out and we select a quest, and I'll show you how to select a quest in order to track it, it's going to point to the direction that the quest is at. We don't have to open the map constantly. We just know that that's where we're going to be going. You're going to open up your quest menu, and then you're going to click on the one quest that I have. Now we see that we have this little arrow and this little line that's going to be going to it. Now I don't necessarily have to bring up the map anymore. I can just use this green arrow and I can just follow that green arrow, and that's going to take me to the quest. And this is a really, really great way if you wanted to explore the map, see where you're going, and enjoy the amazing visuals that you have in this game. So the next setting we're going to be going over, this is going to stay right along the same lines of your high contrast. We're going to be looking at your mouse. Now, this is incredibly important, especially when you get into some of the high levels of the pits, where you have a ton of monsters all around that they're going to be crowding you. You want to see where your mouse is going to be. Now, if you're on controller, this isn't really going to affect you quite as much. However, the high contrast cursor, if I put this here and then I hit save changes, now it doesn't look quite the same. I can also change the size. This is basically your default setting right here. And if this was to be, let's say, black, now you can barely even see it on the screen. Having this change to a bright color that you want it to be, whichever one it is, red, we're going to select high contrast so it gets a lot brighter. And then we're going to upscale this right here to make it look like it's very bright visual and it's very big so you can see it. So these are a really great settings so that you can keep track of where your mouse is and you know exactly where you're going to be moving when you're going to be attacking monsters. Let's say you have a damage reduction monster in your group and you want to be able to find your mouse on that monster. You're going to use this to do that. Now, this next one that we're going to talk about, this will affect both the PC and the people that are playing on controller. We're going to be talking about your player highlights. This one is very, very cool to see. When you select your player highlights and then you hit save changes and then you go back and you look, I now have this green glow around me. Same exact principle, same exact concept. This is going to be something that's going to allow you to see where your character is when you have a whole bunch of monsters around you. As you can see here, you can see your character highlighted really, really easily. You can see the yellow around it. That's what we selected for this. It's going to make it a lot more visible so that you know where your character is when you get this huge group of monsters, and you know exactly where you are. And now we have our highlighted high contrast mouse here. This makes it much easier to see where your characters are going to be while you're playing the game. And when you have these gigantic groups of monsters around you and you have lost control of where your character is and all of the explosions that are going around on the floor around you. Now, something else that you may notice a little bit is you're going to see the screen shaking just a little bit here. So when you play builds that have super high and super fast attacks, you're really going to notice this a lot more. But the screen shake is actually a setting that you can turn on and you can turn off. So the screen shake is actually going to be the next setting that we're going to talk about. And this will allow it so that you don't actually get to see this. And for some people, they may love that feeling where it feels like you're really hitting something and you're doing all of this damage and it's causing the whole ground to shake. But if that's not something that you want, you can go into options and then you go right back to accessibility. You can also access this in gameplay. You take your screen shake effect and then you turn that off. It save changes, and now when we start attacking monsters here, the screen is perfectly still and there's no shake. For a lot of people, that's going to be a really great setting. Just visually, it's under the accessibility options, which Diablo 4 has done a very great job of adding in a ton of accessibility options. So those are your 5 settings that are turned off or turned on by default. We're going to give you one last bonus if you're playing on a mouse and keyboard, because I absolutely cannot live without this one. When we go into options and you go into your controls here, we're going to scroll down and you're going to go look at your force move. Now, force move is going to make you move no matter what. You can even be holding your stop position. You're still going to move. Now, I have mine set to W. So basically what that means is that I can use my W key to move without having my mouse there. It makes it very, very handy. I can actually just move the mouse around without clicking anywhere. This is an absolute game changer for me. I really like doing this when I'm not running on the controller because I have some wrist problems here with the wrist brace and stuff. Not running on the controller, this 100% makes it very, very essential for me. It's the first thing that I turned on when we logged onto the PTR or when I started on a brand new character. Like, this was something that was an absolute must for me. We're going to be coming into Season 9 very, very soon. We probably have about a month left. That's just a guess. There's no official release date yet as of recording this video. The Reliquary says that is going to end on July 1st, so that might be the day. Before the season starts, I put together groups for a whole bunch of people every single season. We run it through Discord, so if you haven't joined Discord yet, make sure you hop into Discord. It is an absolutely amazing place to be. Currently, right now, there's about 15 to 20 people all in voice chat, just playing together, and that doesn't even include the text channels that are out there. We're going to randomly assign groups. Everybody gets to go out into the brand new season, explore all of the new content, share all of the loot they're finding. It is the best way to start out the season. And if you're out there playing solo and you've never decided to play with anybody before, it is 100% worth a shot. It makes it easier to get more gear, more materials, and have a lot of fun doing it. If you join the Discord server and you don't like it, you're free to leave. It kind of changes around the way that the game feels when you have a whole big community playing with you and helping you out, and then you get to help people in return. That's all I got for you today. Thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, make sure you share it with your friends. I'm live every night. I'd love it if you stopped by, said hi, theory crafted with me. Catch you on the clip side.